Welcome to another episode of Keepin' It Being, a podcast that meets conversation, commentary, and culture all over a cup of coffee. Okay, and he is ready. The coffee
Always
is
ready.
present. We got your mug. Okay, and a mug. You see what I did there? Get it to it. Get it to it.
Clever.
Clever. Okay, shout out to Beyonce. She's a clever girl. Okay. But in reality, I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation today. Welcome back. I'm so excited for the new year and for this to be really the kickoff conversation, especially for Black History Month. And I think it's very fitting to have author, critic, conversationalist, budding socialite, words, got him. Okay.
Socialist and socialite, they go together.
Oh, let's requires to be in community,
Talking to one another.
each other, understanding, listening,
And
putting
the way that
into
it
action,
goes,
planning.
and the energy of, and the way that it needs to be, it's a faxo community.
Wow. And they need to stop playing with him. They need to stop playing with him. I'm
This
sorry.
This is the energy you need to achieve, to do the things that I do. So
Open
that
your
you
third
do what
eye.
You're doing.
Because guess what? There's a world of windows and mirrors.
Mm.
Sometimes I need to be a mirror so you can see yourself the ways in which that I see you, and we know how to look at that window of possibility to
It
be
might all
better.
be made of glass, but baby, one you prefer to look out of.
And I love that because we are going to get into the mirrors and windows today. Today's conversation I'm excited for. Not only did you just release a new book, he says that this man is published, but also you have one of my favorite Substacks ever, Black Words. And me and you have been friends for years now. Shout out to the pandemic. Shout out to Clubhouse, all of them days, whatever the case may be.
Scammers, but we made it out real.
We made it do what it do. Okay? And dude. But for my audience, I'm really excited for y'all to get to know Steven. This is a brilliant human. This person's writing is needed, sometimes early, but never telling a lie. Okay? And I think oftentimes you get pinned as somebody who might be too early in the commentary. And sometimes it is the negative backlash, what we'll talk about a little bit more. But for me, what I appreciate about you is that you will always speak truth to power, whether people are comfortable about it or not. But you also have a really great pulse on the culture, especially as it relates to being online, as it relates to the interpersonal connections that we have with one another. But then also, you love on Black folks enough to know when we should be better about some stuff. And oftentimes that is met with resistance. And so I want to preface a lot of that conversation on some of the stuff that you've written on Substack, some of the stuff that you have just witnessed going to the Black Queer Creative Summit, but then also some stuff that leads well into your book as well, and like where this inception comes from. But before we get to all of that, we gonna turn our brains off real quick, okay? Turn the brain off real quick. Because this is the Keeping It a Bean segment. Keeping It a Bean is the segment where you keep it 100. You can say whatever is on your heart. It can be as great or ridiculous as you would like. But get that off your chest. What are you feeling? What are you keeping it a bean about today, Steve?
It's Grammys week, out here in LA. It's so cold in LA right now. Frigid LA. It might be the
I don't
coldest
want
place
to.
in the country right now.
I
Right? Yeah, like
I don't want to hear not one thing from you.
I don't think it's cold. Like, look at that sunlight. It's only sun outside. It's not a lot of warm air. I'm in a hoodie, for God's sakes. Oh my God, it's
Hmm.
a little bit nippy. I
Hmm.
don't know.
That's an interesting choice of words, considering I'm in
Oh,
Philly.
it's something else going on somewhere else. Is it? I know it's about to be February in Philadelphia. Is something going on that I don't know of?
It's a little frigid.
A little frigid.
A lot of frigid. We're in single digits. I didn't know.
To start a little campfire, it should be fine, right? Can't be too bad.
Not that bad. I say frio.
I understand completely. I can't go to the beach, and I can go.
Somebody get this man.
Grammy week. though, right? A lot of people out here mess up my traffic. I was almost late to my book event yesterday. No, I wasn't. I was 2 hours early because I'm me. But Grammys week, and it's an underwhelming showcase this year, I do feel.
Mm-hmm.
We've had people who are definitely undeserving of their accolades. Kendrick Lamar better walk home with something. Doechii, I'm rooting for Doechii, but I don't. I'll be okay if she doesn't take it home anything this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think she has a vibrant career ahead of her, and
Absolutely.
Doechii walking away from this with just going to have a Grammy nomination. I'm like, girl, yes, you do. Um, for personal reasons, I don't want Kalani to win, but she's gonna probably win that award. For very personal reasons, I just don't want Kalani to win.
Yeah.
Uh, you
You would
know,
expound, or you're just gonna leave it where it's at because you're media trained.
I'm not too many trained. Uh,
Well, say more.
I just feel it's been a lot.
Ooh.
And it's getting weird. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I did see a tweet recently of people talking about like, oh, isn't it weird that she kind of just wore Sudan like a little virtue, badge on her shoulder, and then kind of threw it away when it was being corrected, or like the number one thing anyone says whenever someone has a complaint about the behavior of Kalani is, well, she has BPD and she has mental health issues, and it's like so do most of us, but we still have to deal with things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the whole I have like ancestral beef of the whole you sung a song called Niggas.
Yeah.
um and it's the verdict is still up if you are play that racially
Ambiguous
ambiguousness
card.
a lot. I'm looking at your hair. That shit don't kink. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
That's good.
Interessante. Hmm. Hmm. Let's say more about that. Wow.
So, if you have like a brown skin TO or something you want to release real quick just to make us all feel better a little bit, I don't think you can, but there's that. Um, but then also beyond the Grammys, last night I realized Wonder Man was coming out. Now, why did it take me this long for me to find out that Wonder Man was coming out?
Because once again, what Disney's gonna do with every black show that has come out, Eyes of Wakanda, Ironheart, this one, they're
They're
not gonna
gonna
tell
sit
everybody.
there and say, "Oh yeah, we support black entertainment and black storytelling, but you got to do the work for
You should
us."
market your own show.
It's so interesting that this happens exclusively with the black shows, and it ends up with being a lot of blurs, black nerds standing up on these apps and showing out and going, "We got to show them that they put money behind us." Then I was at the Black Queer Creative Summit, and Lee Daniels got on stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Lee Daniels really don't give a fuck.
And don't.
Going to this event taught me a newfound respect for Lee Daniels. He's exactly who Tyler Perry thinks he is. And he got on that stage and said, "Y'all niggas have gotten soft. I feel entitled to things that kind of you shouldn't feel entitled to. And you feel deeply that you don't have to do any work to get your stories out there." Uh Low key energy of you guys put a lot more faith into these systems than into yourselves, and that's strange to me. That tickles Elmo just a little bit. Haha. uh, and I want to agree because I'm watching us do all this work to market for Disney to put faith and put money behind Black stories and put emphasis on their Black stories that they can tell. And I'm watching people make think pieces about, oh, where's our heated rivalry? Where's our X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, there's so many black, and especially black and queer media out here today in the web series on YouTube and
You
drama
got
and Tubi,
Omnipro, you got Tubi, you got what?
and they're putting out all of the content we want to see. I remember a few years ago, even I was talking about how many people were asking and begging for us to put out a new adult series that caters to a young Black audience with a diverse cast of Black queerness and has like real hard hitting conversations. And Lena Waithe did Boomerang.
And did
Boomerang came and went 2 seasons,
two
two
seasons.
phenomenal seasons.
Look, cause still Leland to this day. Wow.
Wow. Wow. Ari having a conversation about his own masculinity, his internalized
That
homophobia,
homophobia
and
through
his
and
own
through.
queer phobia, how he, like, I'm out and proud as a bisexual, but I have anxiety about walking around with a man, or
Can
even
I
the
be
bottoming
clockable?
conversation, being clockable.
Duh.
Me bottoming as a bisexual man, how I don't want to do that. Me having commitment issues when it comes to men versus my open and proudness with dating a woman. It was also funny that he had his epiphanies after dating a witch. Uh, it's
Yeah.
something about after someone dates a witch, their life just they start
Change.
aligning.
It's a shift. You're aligned here.
Something about learning your full star chart. Oh, I'm a Venus and Sag. That's why I'm
this
fighty.
this this all makes sense now. I said,
So
baby, I'm a
maybe I
Venus
should
and Libra.
monitor
I'm a
that a
hopeless
bit more.
romantic.
Maybe I should monitor the fact that I, run away from relationships a lot. What could that be
What's
about?
that?
Hmm. But all these stories are coming out, and all of these, situations are coming to life. And I just feel like we as a people need to stop begging for the mouse, the demon mouse at that, Zapar himself.
Mickey?
You open that Lesser Kia Solomon and you see there's a mouse just sitting there looking at you. You fell for it. He got you.
You in there. Stuck. Damn. Oh,
I just feel like we put too much emphasis on these people, and we put too much emphasis on what the industry can do for us that we can't already do for ourselves. And I feel like we have the instruments. I think we have the wherewithal. We have the talent. Clearly, we don't need to rely on these things. I'm like, Tubi is so popular. Actually, screw Tubi. Zeus is so popular, and it's the most low budget, low rent, intellectual, no stimulation things you could possibly think of. Why are people going down to Zeus and just scrapping in order to get on Bad Boys? Because it's easy to do.
You lowered the
ceiling
of access.
You don't have to beg Disney or their cacophony, their coven of white people, rubbing their hands together, trying to figure out how they can milk every bit of every single instance of representation to appease everyone and also no one at the same time, to capitalize perpetually on your own nostalgia and your own willingness to sacrifice for an inkling of hope, right? Like they'll do that. You don't have to worry about that. You can just show up to a hotel and you tell me, if you knew that your career didn't require you to go to college for 4 years, didn't require a master's degree, didn't require you to have a room full of noses, all you have to do is beat a bitch's ass in a parking lot and you can get money after it. You saying you wouldn't do that? If you wouldn't do it, there's 12 motherfuckers who would.
Okay, talk about it. Talk about it.
If all I can do is be pretty and fight, I'm gonna be pretty, protect my face, and scrap. Throwing bowls at bitches. And, that's all it takes. That's what you're gonna do. So if all it takes for you to be successful is for you to, shirk off the reins of the mouse on your back, those 3 circles, and just move forward, you will be fine. You will be fine.
That's that on that. You will be fine. Wow.
Stand up.
That was a great. Stand up. Stand up. Fight back. Do something.
Come out of lesbianism. Come out.
You said Lebanese, girl. What?
The victory.
Another one. Another one. Yo.
On my 2005. That was a deep pull.
I am here for it. She said, "Bah, get that one. Another one. Another one."
Come on,
baby.
Come on. Come on. I'll never forget for hearing that song. Come on. It's a good gospel track. You sitting there like you feeling invigorated. And it's at the end, he is the crying all said.
Because how did we get here?
Come on, lesbianism.
It was jump scare. I'm sorry.
So you trying to exercise the gay demon? I need that.
We didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for this.
Me and my demon are good. We like this, baby.
We
What are
go
you
together
talking
real
about?
bad. You don't see them on my shoulder?
You don't see me. You don't
What?
see me at the
You don't
club.
see
We be
Ryuk
partying. We be spinning. I'm up in
going
Salem.
down?
I
What?
signed my book. I signed my name in the book.
And did. And did. The power of three is going to set me free.
Can't
And it
speak
only
no
takes one of
grimoire.
me.
So that's up in las
Get up.
noches.
Oh, shout out to the Black Witches.
We are Puda's Blackwell and this bitch, and we're angry and
Hey,
mean.
we're going to fight. Don't fucking talk to me like that. Don't. All right, Steven, because we're going on a tangent. But there is so much goodness in that hot take and keeping it a bean. Please stop with the dependency on these systems, okay? You don't need them. Yes,
I was on recently on a podcast called "White People Won't Save You." It is so true.
They are not. And y'all know that. Fully agree with. Me and white people, pew, we're not doing
I've been
that.
in these board meetings. I've talked to the other side. I had conversations with people who've been showrunners. I had conversations with people who've been journalists. Every single one of them. There's a quiet storm about Marvel and how it treats, but not just Marvel, but Disney overall, and how it treats its black employees. That is just like,
Yeah.
it's stunning and it's scary and it's like, do you want to appeal and achieve what Ryan Coogler has achieved? Like, that's the zenith of black creativity and black storytelling right now. Ryan
Yeah.
Coogler. And
Right.
they still said no to Sinners. The pettiness of this man having, it's like, okay, y'all think my vampire movie is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? We all peep the shadiness of it. He's writing a period piece, a vampire movie about black people, and Blade was canceled. You
You
thought he
think he's
just?
don't?
I'm gonna tell y'all like
I
this,
don't-
right? When you're a showrunner, you're doing anything, you're on the bankroll for any of these corporations. They don't just have you writing on one thing. You think Disney is just gonna throw you a check for one thing and they can just ask you to do whatever they want for the next 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
You work on a lot of different things. You touch a lot of different pots. I'm like, if it seems petty and it seems specific and timely, it probably was.
We love being petty with a purpose. Okay.
And I've never, writing a script is hard. Making a concept is
Mm-hmm.
hard. I've never, if you ever see me just pop up with a thing that just happened, you're like, oh, that's interesting. Were you working on this all along? Typically, no. Typically, I had something in the back pocket that people rejected. I just put it out. When you see Stephen King does 10,000 things back to back to back in the day like that, it's because he had all that in stockpile.
Like, quite literally. He was like, oh, I can give you this one. That's fine. Oh, I want the long road? Yeah, take that out. Yeah, you want this? Take it.
You know, you bought Carrie, but I also have Cujo. What's good?
So what's up?
What's really happening? What's going down?
What's really good? What's really good?
And I don't remember writing it, but that the cocaine was cocaine in here. Take it.
And now look.
I was gone off a brick.
And it really be like that. And oh man, your Rolodex of pop culture is top tier, bar none. Let me tell you, it is one of my favorite things, truly and honestly, because it's just like, one, the girls who get it. The ones who don't. However, when you need a good deep cut, I'm taking you to trivia every single time.
Deep cuts. I have references upon references. You should have been there at my book release. I was not sane. I was not saying when the images of what me and Trey were doing on stage dropped.
I need you to know. Hurry up and bring that book tour to Philly. Come on, we what you need?
Out,
What you need?
Philly being
Prodigal
my
child must
ancestral-
return.
My ancestral homeland, Philadelphia. I have to come back out. I might be a North Philly hood. No, North Philly hood rat. Yes, that is my blood. Yes.
Yeah. Crying. Well, whatever you do, just know you have a spot here to talk and chat about some things. But we are going to get into this interview as well. Thank you for your keeping it a bean. I think it really, one, sets the tone and gets people to really know who the hell you are and your sense of humor. But you said you're serious? Yeah. I'm so serious. Like, what you not seeing? But y'all, we are gonna now steep into this conversation. And when I tell you, Steven, I am a fan of you, and I also just want you to know, like, this I've been excited to have this conversation with you for many reasons. And one of my biggest things is honestly taking me back to 2020, New Year's Day 2023. That sounds about right. Yes, it is. 2023. And I remember having brunch with a lot of homies, and something that had come up, I had asked a question: what makes black leadership, your black leadership, fundamentally different from leadership in general? Why is what you are doing feels different, even those of us on the receiving end of your leadership may not be satisfied? And immediately I remember the room just being enshrouded in frustration, and here goes another critique, here's another criticism. Marquise, you are being self-righteous. You are not, how could you be in a room full of people that you call peers, and yet you are easily able to point the finger at us type situation. um and I remember just being in that space of just like, this isn't even an attack, this is a genuine question. If all of this power is consolidated in this room right now, why does it feel like needles are not being moved? Why does it feel like there's the same frustration across the board? Why does it feel like there doesn't feel anything to be unique? And we can acknowledge the system at play. And when you get to that seat, are you just happy to be there and maintain your spot? Or are you actually the nigga who claimed to care? I need to know the difference, because I know that teaches me how to navigate you in this conversation. If you're there about your money, get your money, King. Love that for you. However, if you are also talking around this work that we do that is in place of service, if you're talking around this work that we do in place of making the world slightly better, or as you frame it, teaching is activist work, right? If that is the case, should we be okay with experiencing the bare minimum when it comes to how our leaders are showing up in these rooms? And these are folks who control budget, who can influence policy, who have elected officials' numbers in their back pockets, all of that. And they know I'm outspoken, so I'm always gonna let them know, like, hey, though we are in the same room, this room, I'm not invited to the rooms that y'all are invited to. I said there's a fundamental difference, and you will be quick to demonize me, but smile in their face. And so, like, I say, and I tell that story and I recount that story because it reminds me of something that you talked around in your critique in the age of clout Substack article that you had placed. And something that really stood out to me in that particular article, I'm gonna read this because I'm not gonna mess up these words. Because one thing about you and prose, together real bad.
That's my first love. That's my baby.
Come on now, come on.
He going
And
right
what
there.
you said what?
He going right there.
Okay, right there. I got you. I'm gonna nurture you.
I'll cook soon.
But what you said in this article, and the one that would stand out to me always, is this: the conversation was exhausting. It forced me to meditate on the nature of why I critique friends all in this age. People show up as their lesser selves when challenged. They frame a conversation they simply cannot detangle identity from as another's unwillingness to be wrong. It's worse when dealing with socialites or people who profit off of their social capital. The nature of an influencer or a socialite is to be seen as an infallible expert. Whether they are willing to embrace this truth or not, they pull weight by pulling themselves up, sometimes over the heads of others. When I tell you that paragraph, that thought process, I said, this deeply resonates in my spirit. Okay. But in reality, I love what you wrote here because it is something that I'm consistently at odds against a lot of the time, especially as we are delving into influencer culture, especially as we are thinking a little bit more around what does it mean to be in a position of leadership while simultaneously having a certain level of social capital and or clout, and when is it good to use it, and when do people decide to step back? And so when I read that back to you, where'd your mind go?
I think it goes where I think everyone else's mind goes to a specific person, a specific instance where you felt that. When I was writing this, I've been wrestling with like some fallouts for some friendships over this year. I put in a recent Substack. First of all, thank you for even highlighting my Substack and everything I've been putting in there. Sometimes the Substack is like loose thoughts. Sometimes it's essays. I put a lot more intention behind it. I found that I'm really big on like the slow cooker process of creation. Like I don't put don't put too much energy into it. You know, let it flow naturally. Don't put a quantifiable number on what you have to do. Just do what feels natural, and your body will let it happen. Like
Yeah.
creativity, like any process, is a muscle. And you went to an athlete to work out on a broken ankle, you know. So when I was writing this, I was processing a lot of different feelings. I was processing like some disappointment and some specifically Black and queer media institutions.
Hmm.
I've been processing the friendships that fell out because the nomenclature that I've gotten is that I'm too much. And what does that exactly mean? I've been called overly critical. I've been called difficult. I've been called overly emotional. Um, I've been called everything you can think of, and I've tried at least for the last 2 years to kind of move away from that. Even me walking away from my Twitter account and deleting all of that was, you know, in part to help process a lot of different feelings I was dealing with. But my level of sensitivity, I've highlighted that I'm just naturally a part of. And I stopped trying to be as critical as possible. And in doing that, I felt not only disempowered, I felt like I wasn't handling my responsibility as a writer and as a storyteller and as a, you know, as a caretaker for so much of our culture. And I felt like I was disappointing my friends. Like that's the top thing.
Yeah.
When I critique, it comes from a place of such deep love for someone else that it's a thing that I don't see it doing any harm. I've tried and navigated doing it a little bit differently. Tried, you know, well, maybe it's a long thought out process. And I feel that in even trying to do that, I've disappointed a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's people who have seen specific relationships that are no longer cultivated and gone like, hey, I can't see how you yourself, Steven Underwood, are in relationship with these other people. And one part of that is the parasociality of it. Like they don't understand the behind the scenes relationships I have with people. They don't see like, you know, how someone could show up for me in those
Hmm.
private moments. But yeah, I think a part of it is also like we would expect or want for you to be a lot louder because we're used to your words forming the weapons that we can properly use. And if you're not doing that, what you clearly operate a space in our community that you provide the substance and the reflection that we can't put to words, a feeling that we know
Yeah.
we feel but isn't there. And if you're not doing that, are you not betraying us inherently? Um, and so in the process of writing this, I just felt such a disconnect from so much. And then the Tiny Hisi Coates interview dropped where he was critiquing his own friend.
Yeah.
And not even holding back, not even like sugarcoating it a little bit. He fully throwing punches. Uh
Through and through.
like
Through and through.
hitting that motherfucker straight in his nose.
Wham,
And
wham, wham,
his
wham.
friend being forced to kind of sit with the licks. And like he's still trying to show up in the conversation. I'll give him credit for that. He's trying to be as honest as possible, which I feel a lot of people don't recognize is more difficult than people think. Even the most intellectual person possible, even me sometimes, uh, or Keith, even you probably sometimes, it can come to a moment where you're trying, you just might just feel like you just need to acquiesce to whatever is going on in the moment because you're like, well, you think I'm wrong, so I must be wrong. But deep in the back of your mind, you know that that's not me showing up the conversation fully. I still have misgivings. But to save face for the conversation at hand, I'm going to back off and pretend like I got the point, even when I don't. When the point of a conversation is to see it to its best possible conclusion. He still showed
Yeah.
up in conversation. He still told his truth about how he felt. And he had to take the licks in the conversation. He had to be humble in that way that you are knowingly doing something wrong, but you are trying to actualize actual transformation. After that conversation, it just resonated with me. And then it got to a conversation with my mom where I was just like, she could feel like residual sadness in that conversation surrounding me. Um, and she just went, you know, one thing about you, Stephen, is that when you were a kid, you always wanted to be liked. Said you always get really personal when no someone didn't want to be in front.
Hmm.
And like I sat there with that because I'm like at the time I was 30, I'm 31 now.
Yeah.
Um, I was just sitting with that and I was like, damn, do I still have this residual like anxiety about being liked? And I thought I got rid of that. And it's like, no, actually I didn't. I just covered it up. I'm like, have I been pursuing truth telling, but still clinging to this like need or desire to be in community with people? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I think fundamentally it comes down to a decision. I'm like, I'm not a child anymore. It was like the most biggest epiphany ever of like stepping into, you know how this, we talked about witchcraft early, the triple crescent, even though it's not real, the triple crescent of, maiden mother.
Okay, get into it.
What's the opposite of that? It's like, the full father and sage, like that triple. And I'm like, I've
Wow.
transitioned from like that boundless curiosity, hyper energy, high potential of the fool. We all play the fool at sometimes. We're all ignorant, but we all want to do something, and that's what embodies the fool. To my fatherly instinct, and I'm like, I can't do what I'm supposed to do if I remain in a state of desperately trying to claim and repair friendships and these relationships at the expense of what I feel is ultimately important. I'm like, I do find fat phobia and desirability to be repugnant. I do find that we have a responsibility. When I'm seeing a lot of these influencers trapeze about and say that, accepting dark money is not a big deal. We all got to get to our bag, womp, and we're doing it in a good cause because we're doing it for the Democrats. I'm like, no, but you inherently don't see the problem with that, right? It's like, so you
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing it. It's not an okay thing to do. It does cause your credibility to be shot just a bit. And I'm like, it's okay for people to criticize you for it because you represent, or even at the very least, some of you are standing in a position where you are appropriating the language and the culture and the professionalism of journalism. But this is things that journalists would be criticized for. Um, and I'm like, I have to stand in that. I have to be disliked. I have to accept the fact that even if I'm doing this with love and I'm hoping that the love can be felt, it does not have to be shared back to me. And understanding and swallowing that and think about these moments where I've seen how that moment can happen. I was forming the substance of like, oh well, that can happen because it's a situation where the respect for one another is equally yoked. um, the need or care or desire to maintain a friendship that isn't on someone else's terms only
Hmm.
is established there, and it's that mutual trust in the conversation. And so I'm realizing maybe in these situations where I felt that I wasn't my critique wasn't being respected, and like my understanding of the situation wasn't being respected, but also my basic common sense wasn't being respected. I
Look,
was I was hoping that the relationship was there to substantiate that, but in reality, no. Maybe this relationships were something else. I've often talked about some other stuff about like, oh, maybe my role here wasn't to them to be myself. Maybe my role here for them was to be the trophy. You know,
yeah.
intellectualism as a performance for them, the
Whew.
manifestation of the smart friend, so that they can show to everyone like, oh, see, this person agrees with me, therefore I can't
Yeah.
be ignorant, I can't be wrong. I have
Right.
some backing in that space, and that's the danger for me in the age of the socialite and in this overall digital age of what it does to
Yeah.
the critique and what it does to the critic, right? The very normal and human and necessary part of going, let's ask some questions about this thing that is giving me misgiving or is really difficult to swallow. Let's say the quiet part out loud, because if it's
Yeah.
still quiet, something's going
This
wrong.
is wrong. Yeah. No, and I love a lot of what you had to say because it is very real when you're in those rooms. And if you're always being looked at as the contrarian, if you're looked at as the person who's just like going to make this just a little bit more too woke, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to think about this. I want to be able to engage in my behavior, but not have to feel beholden to feeling guilty about the thing that I'm engaging in, right? And all of us partake in trash, okay?
I'm
Okay.
messy too.
Messy boots. Like,
I am so messy. I'm the first person to call, just like, we're just gonna talk shit. There's nothing intellectual going on here. If we
I,
wanted to be,
baby,
but
we
I'm
can if we
just here
want,
to
but right
talk.
now,
I just came here to talk about, like, did you see that thing that happened on the timeline? That's kind of stupid, right?
like, what are we talking about? Yes. And I was like, that is I think sometimes the trap of being labeled or assuming the role of the intellectual as the black intellectual, because we know that I said that as much as I can equally love some Tiffany Pollard, I can also be like, now, New York girl, that that's not okay. Cause I still sit there and I'd be like, I just posted up a clip this morning about this one scene from Gossip Girl, and this billionaire is talking down to this middle class educator. And I'm saying, I said, well, is she eating you up because I don't mind a black woman being a villain at this point in time? Do I agree what she says philosophically? No, girl, you are wrong. $15 outside of a $30,000 necklace, I don't want to hear not one thing. Pay for that taxi and go. However, there's still something that is just like, no, the messiness of it all. And also, what do I want to qualify at this time? Do I want to qualify a powerful black woman, or do I want to talking down to this white woman? Or
going forth with it. And I'm like, I know exactly the scene you're talking about. I love that scene so much. She did eat her up. She did
and
eat
then
her up. And it's like one of the most interesting things. If like we want to intellectualize that moment, we can. So I'm like, there's a very complicated thing happening in the scene of a very powerful black woman speaking down to a very low class, but still inevitably a white woman, a white
yes,
feminist at that, like someone who is not as strongly capable of understanding. Like you can talk about, oh, they're so hard on us poor people, but you don't understand the irresponsibility of you as an educator running
and
a
you're
gossip page for a high school.
like, and mind you, you're talking to the culprit, the main culprit.
You should go to jail.
It immediately.
You need to be around kids no more.
Kids at all. Revoke that license.
Abbott Elementary, I was like, everyone was like, oh, and she got fired for hitting that kid. Yes, and she shouldn't be. The scariest thing of that episode is that she hit a kid. She didn't get her ass beat. That's also the second thing. And then she came back teaching at another school down the street. And I'm like, so you didn't hesitate at the part of the filing that said instruct a child.
And it goes into this to me is so important because it's like one shout out to the duality of niggas, because we can go, but we can hold two truths at once. But something else that comes up is even in that ability to critique and hold responsible and participate in some spaces, right? There becomes this frustration. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about it. Because even as you were talking around like how you were able to show up in spaces, I remember our conversations from last year, post Truth Awards. I remember our conversation post Culture Con. I remember our conversation post Black Queer Creative Summit, and just thinking around the year of 2025 and what the role was of these large institutions. When was it a good time to be like, hey, black people deserve better? Hey, what is the actual role of this thing happening right now? And then two, three, like, where is my role to be able to talk around this without also being like getting all that pushback either? And to me, it becomes this question of where is a how, or maybe we'll start from here. How do you distinguish a good faith critique while trying to balance out black protectionism, especially during this time where like all of these budget cuts are happening? The Trump is trying to take away from all of these big institutions, and these black big gathering spots are still able to persist despite. How do you find that balance of being like, now, girl, you're engaging in protectionism, and sometimes the critique can propel us forward? Like, where are you at in that tension? Yeah, especially because you're also located in LA. Like, you're in a fundamentally different world.
I might go to Brother Brothers this year. We'll see. I'm gonna be up in there, and like
If not, I'll see you there.
the private thing that Marquise is saying that I had a really bad panic attack at the Brother Brothers at the truth at passing the torch. I had a really bad panic attack. It was not. It was like so strange for me as a
Yeah.
concept of like showing up. I looked good. I looked real good. I looked
Oh,
good.
that outfit 8. Stop playing. Stop. Get into it. Get into it.
I know when I look good. Damn.
Uh,
But something about like the utter constant rejection going, right? And I was at a very awkward period of my career. Like I've gotten like, oh, who even is he so many times. And like people, especially when I had that blue check, and it was an official blue check. It wasn't one of the bought ones nowadays. And people
okay.
didn't know what to do with that. I was even shocked, like, when we first started linking up, but my people said, oh, my friends love you. And I was like, I didn't know I had people who liked me. And going into that room as someone who like I have no aspirations to do screenwriting explicitly. I can, and I wouldn't say no to it. And I've been working on a pilot just because I want that in my portfolio.
Period.
But I don't really look for the vanity of the limelight as much. I literally go towards a connection, an authentic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in those moments, it's also like that child wound of, oh, you've always taken it personal when someone didn't want to be with you. There's a deep
Yeah.
fear of loneliness in you, Stephen, that it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it comes out in moments where you're perpetually judged over and over and over again. And every single conversation there, for the most part, I was running into situations where you can see in their moment when they're looking for someone with power or someone that is actually worth their time. So, like in the middle of the conversation, you're just talking about something, the eye just drifts off a little bit too far to the side, and
Mm-hmm.
their energy stops being directed at you and starts widening to the rest of the room, and you can feel
Yep.
yourself become invisible to them in that second.
Yeah.
And it was happening again, 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 and I was just feeling it. It was better when I had people who I know in there. Carlos, always gonna love me down. We literally at that moment where I was out there, we lived down the street from each other. So it's funny. Me and Carlos going to the same gym.
Period.
But once all the people I can call even residually my friends disappeared, it was time for me to show up as who I am and speak to people and like try to navigate that room on my own. It just became very difficult. And after, like, it was this one last one where the actor just did it more blatantly. Probably meant nothing by it, but it still just happened. And it just
Mm-hmm.
filled me with this hollowness. And all I could hear was like Ariana Grande's fake smile. I gotta go.
Like a
I gotta go.
fake
I gotta leave now.
smile. Yeah. Oh wow, wow,
But
wow.
it was just I never felt like I felt like a disappointment to myself. I felt
Yeah.
like a failure to myself. I felt like I tried. I didn't feel like I was inadequate. I felt like I came in there trying to push my limits past my comfort levels a little bit by meeting new people, going by myself especially. But
Okay.
meeting new people and like branching out, and it's like I failed to do that, and that crippling sense of failure is worse to me than actually anything else that can happen. And I was just like tearing up in the back seat of that Uber. By the time I got to the apartment door, I rushed to my room and just ripped everything off, threw on the floor, and got into bed and just started hyperventilating and crying. Um, and it was just bad. And I had to build myself back up afterwards. I went to other events. Like I didn't feel that at AWP, which is like a writers conference. The entire time I felt at peace. I felt seen. I could walk up. I walked up to a Pulitzer, and we started talking shit to each other. And I'm like, and they don't feel nothing different about this.
Yeah.
This is normal for me to do.
Yeah.
And balancing these spaces and like trying to hold it on your shoulders, there could be a lot of pressure like that because you see the esteem of what it means. Like Better Brothers is respected as an institution because of what it can do and what it has done for so many black people, black creatives all throughout this country, not even just here in LA. And then you see things that you can say could be better. You have questions about specific people getting specific awards,
Yeah.
and it's a very fair question to ask out loud that, like, hey, didn't this person just say some really weird commentary not even a year ago and is getting an award? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not to say I disagree. Maybe I don't, there's some things I don't know about, but it's a question that pops into your head. It was a question that people asking without asking in the middle of the crowd
Right.
if you were there. And it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
didn't he?
Yeah.
And why is this person? And it's like, what are we exactly uplifting in our community? What
Right.
exactly is being said by who we can this award to? Is that even a question I should be asking?
Right.
And there's other institutions. I'm not even going to hold you. I'm going to say it. People have had questions about the Native Sons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a complicated conversation. It's complicated for me
Yeah.
because I know some of the people on the board, and I hold them in the utmost esteem, the utmost respect. When
Right.
I see the execution of it, and I sit there and wonder, this was a dominated conversation at the Creator Summit. This was a
Yeah.
dominated conversation at every queer, black and queer event or
But
show I've gone to. A question
yeah.
of what does the Native Sons represent, at least on their blog or the social channels, not even just the organization. Because at this point, people said, I didn't know there's an organization associated with this. We know there's an award every year. We know at the end of the year there's a list that is being honoring like 101 or 100 people who are black and queer in public.
Yeah.
But we don't know the through line of what this is supposed to mean for the rest of us. What are we meant to achieve to earn the value of being seen in that light, right?
Yeah.
And balancing all of these questions and like the fact of if I say something, am I going to damage this institution that I don't want to see die?
Yeah. Oh.
It's
Oh.
it's a complicated back and forth. And I
Mm-hmm.
say the moment you stop wanting to even be a part of it is the fastest way for the conversation to actually begin. And that is the
Yeah,
horrible truth I think a lot of these institutions are
because they
ignoring.
become reactive.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
if if you wait until the moment that someone doesn't want to be a part of your institution anymore for you to care, like if you wait for that, then they won't care about your destruction anymore.
yeah,
And that's if it gets to that point, it's far too late. And so that's why I'm like, the reason why we feel this hesitation is because a lot of these institutions want us to feel this hesitation.
yeah.
They
That's
want they've called it's like I'm not saying even that like there's a nefarious, sinister nature to it, but I think we as a culture especially are very protective of ourselves and we are very protective of what we built and we should be. It took a lot.
yeah,
Everything it took to build up the native sons, we see it
right,
having happened overnight. We don't all of us don't know where native sons came from. But when it
right.
happened, we all remarked and we all celebrated it. I don't think anyone I've ever known wasn't deeply flattered, even if they were also confused when they appeared on the native sons timeline. And
I
they
got
should
on
be.
there. I got on there one time. I said, "Oh," I said, "Who knows me?"
How tall are you? Six
I
foot,
said,
6 foot baddie.
6'2",
6'2
6'2".
baddie.
Yeah,
6'2
period. Get into
baddie.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah,
into it.
yeah. Shout
Get
out to
into it.
Pretty Privilege.
Body, pretty privilege, looks. They said Coco
But
said
it,
and fine, tall too. Damn.
wow, yeah, 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 yeah,
Get
yeah.
into it.
But it's funny
I
because
haven't
I
been
think
featured.
no. Shout out to Fat Phobia.
That's in the
Shout out to
pitch. I was
Anthony.
like, hey, I want to support you guys anyway. You guys, I have a book, and they said paid.
But that's because there's so much like in there, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about because it's a through line of conversations that people want to have all the time because it becomes the it for me it echoes the conversation of stop tearing down that black man. You don't understand how successful he is, and so we can't say any kind of negative thing because we know that it's few and far between when it comes to be achieving that level of success and or visibility, right? And so you're just like, don't break down this institution because it comes off as some hater shit. And I think also the other piece is when the rumblings begin to happen, that means that there's becoming a clear disconnect that is happening too. But people are not willing to sacrifice their positionality. They're not willing to sacrifice this access to power and visibility and clout. So at least if I benefit, I no longer have to critique it, right? Because it's funny, like hearing you talk around, not funny, but like hearing you discuss your experience in the during the Truth Awards and during the Passing the Torch Awards ceremony. Because for me that weekend, I was like, that's the first time I felt like seen in those spaces as well. And granted, like I know like the way my platform functions, it's a black platform that happens to be gay versus like a black gay platform. And so like there's like
I
a
knew
very
people. When I tell there was at one point no one knew you were gay. Really, there was a point. There was like, oh yeah, I imagine Marquise. He's very like Malcolm X, very power to the people, very very. Like I didn't even think of him as queer, honestly. And I was like, that's nothing very radical, but like they were talking about you like you're some militant, like you are sitting at home, shotgun at your waist, fasting,
dog.
fasting.
I need I need you to know like the amount of folks who like they see me out at a circuit party or they see me out having fun,
You enter
out
the locker room.
dancing. Mind your business. Um, but it's funny though because it's just like I did not realize the ways in which like though pretty privilege can exist in this space and I understand that I'm an attractive human being. I put my face on camera. I know catching that light in the morning. I'm not an
It
ugly
hurts.
man.
It
Um
hurts.
and I think it's also interesting because of that same token, because of the way that I show up in these digital spaces, oftentimes I get desexualized in that space as well because they reduce me to simply being the brain. Okay. And not give it
Listen,
brain, the brain.
I've gotten it
Like
too. And if our private DMs ever leaked, Lord,
Lord Jesus.
oh God,
No,
it's up in the
Lord.
suck.
Ah. But it's so funny to me though, because it's like a for me to start finally being invited to spaces that are explicitly black and queer, for me to be invited into that space, I was just like, I was one surprised it at the amount of folks in LA that were familiar with my work. I did not know that I was having that reach. Like I know I'm an East Coast baddie, I can get into it. Yeah, get into it. But thinking around what's happening on the West Coast, and when I showed up to that, they were like, "Hey, I know you," or "Hey, I'm a fan of your work," or "Hey, this is this." And they were happy to see me there because it almost felt like they were rooting for me to kind of be in that space. But for me, I was like, I didn't see myself in that space. And I deal with my own body dysmorphia and how I view myself in levels of like, well, I'm not like one of the Instagram black queers that can just
Never been
like,
the gay jet magazine, you know.
like, I was like, I said, I still got to fix this body up a little bit, whatever the case may be. And so I think it's like funny to
As soon as you
hear.
said that, 1,000 queer men just went, "No, don't
Don't,
lose it,
don't, don't,
don't lose it."
don't lose it
Off the
now.
musket.
And for me, it's so funny though, because the amount of people, joking or not, who are just like, Marquise, you get into the gym, you take your shirt off and just start pouring coffee and talk to the camera, you are instantly going to become much more attractive in so many other cases. You become so much more palatable and aspirational because people can now see you in a much more desirable light. And so you can balance out talking, and sometimes you might be talking and people are not listening. And I was just like, dog, like the fact of the matter, I'm just like, for me, good ideas never fade. Looks will ultimately fade. Good ideas will have no choice but to either be like, this was a great for this place and time, or I can now build on this as well. And go ahead, because you're about to.
Thing, because my advice to people, they want to do like the talking head content, or like they're really seriously thinking about engaging that, it's always do the opposite. I'm like, don't. I said, I don't want to. It was this is an actual conversation I've had with someone about like, hey, I want to. Steven, you're a journalist. I want your advice because you come off so well, and like you did build a platform yourself. It might be Insta, it might be only be like 10,000 followers, but like you were given your blue check mark. You got your
Mm-hmm.
publications. You did everything slow and steady, which is how I prefer to do it. My favorite parable was the story of the tortoise and the hare growing up.
Come on now.
Slow and steady wins the race. I've always been Thomas the Tank Engine. Uh, and I was like, okay, there's gonna be a time like you put your sexuality forward, you put your physicality and desirability forward. And that gets you a lot of clout with the gays. I'm not gonna hold you. They do like a
Mm-hmm.
shirt off moment. They'll ask you repeatedly to put the link in the bio. They'll do anything it takes to get that itch scratched in them that is carnal desire and like
Yeah.
the expression of your sexuality. And that's not to say that I am a prude. I think everyone who's ever met me and seen how much of a flirt I am, my daddy from Philly. That's
They said y'all forget still a Philly nigga.
Philly nigga
Yeah.
Philly boys. Oh, it's I've gotten a few silence at certain parties and people going, and it was. And you saw all of that.
If you saw me, you did it.
Oh no, you saw me, you did. Saw me, you did. Um,
Oh my gosh.
but in that, I said like when you are camera facing or you are engaging in your intellectualism, it will come back to bite you in a way that I can't even say I even feel is unwarranted. That's not to be slut shaming of anyone. I think when you get into the habit of people looking at your intellectualism, they look at it across the board. They look at everything you chose to do and everything you chose to execute. And 9 times out of 10, in the moment, they might be asking to bang. But I remind you that even Mark Lamont Hill, we didn't know he was a sexual being until he got to that podcast and started talking about, oh yeah, I'm ran through. I ran through. Everyone had a turn with me up until I got married,
Married.
and like that's just the truth. I'm like, we all now know Langston Hughes was out and about and bent
A
over,
common Jezebel.
a common pussy. Oh, Ace Ace Boom Bush
Are
himself, Langston Hughes.
get into it. I said not our messy ancestors.
I'm talking
Yeah,
Maya
yeah.
Angelou. I was like, most people don't know Maya Angelou was a stripper. I'm like, did you not know that Maya Angelou was on that pole?
I live.
That's That's Mo Money Maya. That's ooh.
Yes.
Oh, I thought people Toni Morrison's story about like oh how she used to quote unquote cook for the boys at Howard.
Like
Tony,
Tony. Tony didn't even
Tony,
like wearing bras. Come on. She was the
dude.
original Frida Nipple. Come on
She
now.
was just like I said I was known on Howard. Some of the girls really did. I know they read Sula and rolled they fucking eyes.
They said, now, girl, we knew about you.
Uh, but I'm like, that's
Mm,
not me to say that like this is not a safe space for you to express sexuality. I think writing and art, but especially writing, comes from a deeply carnal and like a space of like deep desire and deep sexuality and sensuality. I think like every time in my MFA program I wrote something good, there was always my professor or someone in the classroom to bend and say, "This is like a deeply sexual and intimate form of writing." You know, I think we've all been scrolling on TikTok and pause just a little too long on those the men who are who let the camera a little bit too low when they're sitting
yeah.
down, just a little bit too low,
It's like, come
and
on
the ladies
now.
is moving a lot. Linger just a little bit too long on that because you know what's going on here.
Right.
It seems like something I like.
So hold on now.
But I
No.
think that it just puts you into a pipeline you don't want to be. I think that a lot of people will find that even leaving that area of the internet and social media will be I think also it undermines a lot of your points or even undermines your ability to have grace because it encourages people to only come to you for that.
Yeah.
Versus if you come in fully formed and fully fleshed to challenge things critically and to be a critic and to have conversations, then I think it builds you up a lot more efficiently and keeps the conversation where it needs to be. You can be a multifaceted person offline. I think that we should be able to. And I think we should be able to do multiple things at once. But I think there's just this thing about the intellectual space. Call it whorephobia, call it, you know, anti-sex, and call it maybe just another tangent of the anti-intellectualism movement that people aren't able to hold multiple things to be true at once. But I always urge just against it because, especially for us, like, look at me, right? You can say all these great things and thank you for the compliments, but you can say all these things and like still you walk into a room, the number one issue that I face is that people were like in job interviews for like editor positions or like even like junior level roles at a publication. Um, they say I don't have enough experience or that like I don't have the credibility to earn the space that I do. I
Hmm.
had enough credibility to publish a book. I had enough
Yeah.
credibility to end up in a lot of these spaces. I have an MFA degree. I have the background and like the overall bylines, right?
Yeah.
I got to spaces before even people who are in their editorial on my own that they didn't get to.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they still went, and you don't have enough credibility on your own to justify your space and your right to talk in these spaces.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
and I think it'll just be harder overall if you ask me my expert opinion. If you diversify, now watch it happen. Watch someone go the opposite direction. I encourage them like, hey, you can do it if you want to, but just know that this is going to be the repercussion of it. Like I'm not
Yeah.
even joking. This is what's going to happen. And one by one, two by two, eventually people start listening to the critique. Every single thing they passively said became an argument, and you know, eventually they couldn't really exist solely as a talking figure or as a
Yeah.
commentator. Now they had to be that and
And
also the sex work aspect. They have to be two sides of the same coin,
right.
and one side is clearly preferable to people over the other.
Right. That, ooh, yeah, there's so much goodness you put in there. And I think all of this becomes in conversation with each other, especially as we think around forever for the culture, right? And it all becomes in conversation because you are now giving us an aspect to this black digital arts renaissance that is going on. And I think in that moment, it to me, like seeing the title and remembering when you were first talking around putting it together, some of the points that you were making, you were like, Keith, this is in the book. Like, I need you to know type situation. No, true and true. But I think there is a level of care to still want to be in this space. And I think something that we often miss from this time is actually contextualizing everything that's currently happening and what that signals for us right now all of this art cannot be seen in a vacuum. This idea of being critical of art cannot be seen in a vacuum because essentially it becomes the oh, it's not that deep kind of conversation. But in reality, sometimes it is actually that deep when we think around the mass consumption of art at this point. Is some art diluted? How much is it meant to be extracted away? Because we know this black girl did like revolutionize this dance through TikTok, and then this white creator is the one that ultimately got all of the credit off of the creativity of black folks, right? And as I think around this, you are an important figure within our community within black culture because you are one of the few people who know how to genuinely contextualize this big movement, talk around the renaissance that we are experiencing and what it means to engage in art, which is sometimes so insular, to see it for public consumption and mass public consumption in a space where oftentimes like art, we know there are some things that are accessible and then other pieces where you're just like, this is really for a particular kind of community. And I think you kind of break down that as you talk around being forever for the culture and wanting to root for our people. And so, first and foremost, like, one, for audience members who might not be hip to you just yet and are still playing catch up, what is forever for the culture and what motivated you to write it now?
Bird for the Culture is a multi-genre bending thing. I'm a big fan of Joan Didion.
Mm-hmm.
And Joan, my girl Joan, she loved to make one thing multiple things at the same time. Uh,
Yeah.
I was introduced to the genre of journalistic memoir in grad school, and I
Yeah.
really appealed to it. That mixture of the academic, but with prose, but also with poetry, the personal mixed with the global. Let's say the global. Hanif Abdul Rakib also does that. Low Devil in America. That's my G. That is Big Bro. Everything you can think of. Um, and I wanted to embody it because I feel like it's the only way you can talk about the internet. So
Yeah.
it's a collection of essays, and it's also an academic piece. It focuses on this renaissance of Black digital art, what it means to us, what it should mean to us, how sacred it actually is, and
Mm-hmm.
its connection to revolution. I wanted to look at not just the art that we are making, but also I wanted to look into the fact that it's important for the reason that it justifies our resistance, right? We're
Yeah.
in a period that people wanted to call post-racial. We wanted to say that we have grown so far beyond the civil rights movement and that we are finally at the actual dream. But then there are little moments in these everyday situations online that prove that we are not. What does it mean that we were post-racial? And Tamir Rice can still be gunned down at a park, and people still
Mm-hmm.
find a reason to blame that. I grew up in Philly. One of my earliest memories is witnessing a man's head get blown off, right in front of me at a park across the street. I was on Paxson Street
Mm-hmm.
in Philly, West Philly,
Yep.
and I watched it happen. And it's my earliest memory. And it wasn't just the fact that he died right in front of me. He didn't die immediately. I think I describe it in the book. He kept on walking for a little bit, and he was fully coherent for a little bit, and that's where I learned that, unlike what the movies say, you get shot in the head, you don't always immediately pass.
Yeah.
And it took me like a year to really fixate on like what kind of disturbed me about that moment, you know, deeply in an internal way that I think Black boys are encouraged to do when you see something traumatic. And it was me realizing that the man saw me. I was a child right there at the park. I went there with my cousins. They saw me. I was right there at the park. And they still shot in that direction. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember how quickly my cousins came and picked me up and ran with me back to the house with the fear of God in them. And it was
Yeah.
because they realized something I was too young to realize at the moment. These niggas didn't have any regard for a child's safety.
Yeah.
They shot in the direction of a child. Um, and in that moment, it kind of hovers with you throughout all these other moments of like how sick a place has to be for the community to not regard the safety of a child as something that is inherent to anywhere the child is.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to talk about that. And I wanted to talk about like how these spaces cultivate a reflection of ourselves. Like the internet is that deep because this is a psychic plane. This is a collection of our thoughts. It's a
Yeah.
nexus of our creation. We are probably more authentic to the train of our own thoughts online than we are in person. We have to figure out how we want to filter everything in person. We have to figure out how we want to communicate. We have a limit to the language that we naturally use on our everyday, and the limits of what the word can form. But the online space doesn't have it. If there's not a word for it, there's an image, there's a video, there's a song, there's
There's a
something you can put
meme,
up.
got something.
There's something you can find that encompasses a whole range of emotions and communication styles that you never would do in person. That was a challenge I had in writing this. I had to the Ari Lennox moment, that exact moment I was just joking about with you not too long ago. I'm like, that BMO moment was
Yeah,
pivotal to me because it was a moment of ultimate carefree blackness and like
yeah.
celebration. She was feeling her beat and she was happy. And that moment is now cemented forever. But I'm like, how do I describe that on the page without a GIF or a video reaction? I had to
Hmm.
describe it in detail, and it took a huge chunk of the page. It took a whole half of the page for me to describe everything that moment was, everything it felt. And I'm like, that is ekphrasis. That is art about art. That is the whole point of what we're doing. We are perpetually appealing to a form of ekphrasis uh, online every time we cultivate something that is for us, about us, and speaking to the general vibe of our blackness. And also the vibe of our danger, the ability to laugh and make jokes at the most racist situations that I think anyone has ever come across. Types of racism that have never existed before.
Yeah,
Type of legislation being passed to cultivate a new form of racism. The kind of cultures that are targeting entire companies and enterprises for the ability to diminish and control how we speak.
yeah,
Again, I go back to the dark money situation with these black influencers because it's scary what that encompasses. You're telling me that you can transform these figures who are deeply respected in our community and in our spaces overnight into a talking head for whatever movement you want to make them into.
just
And they're
insane. Yeah,
trusted. And these people earned their trust. But if it's not that deep, they don't have to think about the implications of what they're doing. They don't
yeah,
have to think about who they're letting into the door of a space that should be very, very well protected. And that is at the heart of what I'm talking about in this book. But it's also the reality of me speaking to my fellow artists and me trying to tell them that these institutions and these enterprises are nothing without us. And I don't just mean that on like a, hotep, let me sell you a bean pie. I mean that
yeah,
deeply spiritually within the exact encompassing of like, you didn't think before you recorded yourself singing one song the first time you did it, and you
yeah,
created a moment that you built a platform on. You don't need the institutions that you're looking for to create the things you're creating. You don't need to uh finally get big and move away from social media for you to be a legend or creating
yeah.
something within a culture and within a movement that is singularly great. I was so entranced by so many of these content creators who stand up finally and saying, actually, I'm not trying to get a TV show with my platform. My platform is my platform. I'm
Yeah.
doing everything I want to do in this small format that you see on your screen, and that's important enough to me. This is a form of art. This is my medium. This is what I prefer to express myself. Plus, translating is never that good. That's also true. Your edge was the fact that you could just say whatever you want on TikTok.
And you just realize you just whichever you want on TikTok, and it does not transfer
It
very
just
well
doesn't
to like
translate.
long for.
Not every content creator needs a talk show on
No, golly, I think
mics.
if we've seen that, like, please,
I love Crystal and Kid Fury. I love the read down deeply. There's a section about it in my book. Crystal just like one of my things on Threads too.
yeah.
I love them down, and I would say, you guys didn't have to go back to the talk show.
And look, and I'm happy that they didn't. To be honest, like I was like, it was fun to see what podcasters could do, going from podcasting in that freeform format, but I think it was also clear for them, like that Fuse TV deal was cool. I think what did they have, 10 episodes? Um,
Episodes got iconic
yeah,
moments. Like, I'm not
and
from
did
Florida. I'm
okay.
from
Shout out to Missy Elliott getting her flowers. Come on, through and
I'm
through.
I'm from Miami, Dade County, not Florida.
But I love that you're able to reference them too, because I think that's also the other piece. Like, there are opportunities where culture can shift in terms of like where we see people, and we have to negotiate scale and visibility versus integrity and like the pure essence of the show. How does this differentiate from what they've already established for over 10 years of doing this thing? Like, what does that begin to look like? And it's probably more than 10 years. I'm bugging. But still, like, um,
10 years.
15 years, yeah. They podcast OGs. Come on, stop
OG's
playing.
uncle and auntie.
Get into it.
It was funny
And
last night at the book release event. Someone called Trey an OG, and like it like the look on Trey's face was just beautiful about like realizing like yeah,
yeah. And you had Trey Wilson,
Trey Melvin.
Trey Melvin. There we go. I'm saying I'm talking shit. I said, hold on, who's up there?
Hey, Trey.
But I think that's so dope though, because like you even had the opportunity, one, to curate such an intentional moment with who is interviewing you, especially in terms of getting the real essence of what you want this book to feel like, and somebody who can engage with you genuine and authentically at a black owned bookstore on top of that. And I was just like, there's a very strong through line on, yes, we're in a space of literature. Let's be clear about that. But we also are in a space of bringing together the fine arts and the digital arts at the same time. Like, that is a beautiful marrying of intention. Wow, journalism on top of that too. Excuse me. Okay, eating all of the moments together, I'm like, you were able to contextualize and situate us. Maybe that's the better word. You situate us in terms of like why a renaissance is important, why it's a rebirth, why we are able to add on, and really the importance of like black intellectualism on top of, there's an intersection of pop culture and politics that we should absolutely be thinking about. And so for me, how do you personally define the new black digital arts renaissance? And are there like any key points in time where you're like, yeah, this is very important. I'm like, these are very meaningful moments that happen across the way. So like, lean into that.
I define the Black digital arts renaissance as a culture to tell. I define it as passion. I define it with sensuality. I think I define all Renaissance with that. You know, the niggerati man would be nothing if they wasn't fucking in it.
Come on. You ain't never lie. You ain't
You
never
know, I
lie.
think it's messy. I think it involves us fighting with each other very publicly. So I'm like, you know, our ancestors were in fact messy.
Okay,
That is a
Zora was not
podcast for
playing
us to
none of
put
them
out.
games.
And, you know, I think that it is defined by us realizing that there's multiple ways for us to be ourselves. You know, I discovered black punk music through TikTok and just black people posting it. I could give you a playlist and I'm getting ready for Act 3. It's gonna be insane. I can't wait to see who she decides to pull the fuck out.
Okay. Cause I got a list. I have a
And I'm
list.
not showing up at old rock that you're getting me in old school Paramore. You're getting me in skinny jeans, a simple t-shirt, and chucks. You get in like the most OG form of punk. You're getting me in moody music, playing, you know, MTV or any number of the, because you know we used to have multiple music channels back in the day.
Yes,
You
we
know, back on
did.
Swerve,
Swerve. Ah!
and we after
Everything.
school, my mom going, why
VH1,
you listen to
106
white
in
people music?
Park.
I'm gonna start a radio show called White People Music. It's gonna be black people love it.
And let me tell you, as a quick tangent on white people music, we are missing the quality white artists who like being white. Okay, I was trying to
Hayley
explain this
Williams
to
ain't
my
never. Hayley
students.
Williams will pull up into a room full of girls in bantu knots and box braids, fully dressed like a white woman, and she will vibe all the way through.
I said, y'all better stop playing. I said, y'all, what is this generation's misery business? What is this generation's I
Oh my
write of
god,
sin and
after
not
laughter. You'll
tragedy?
have an after laughter.
I not one.
We got
Not
Justin Bieber in
one.
the R&B category.
Like, don't
We
make
used
me
to
mad.
segregate.
Immediately. Immediately. They used to call people like Justin Bieber blue-eyed soul. Okay?
Where's
That's
your
what go.
category? Go back to pop music.
Where do you belong in
This is
those spaces? Go.
contemporary R&B. You need to go.
And you're where? Shut it down. Yes.
This is
And
for this is for girls.
I
What are you exactly?
Why are you here? Oh my
uh,
gosh.
I don't know. I think this renaissance is defined by all of it, but I think it's also defined by like the act of being the spokesperson. I think we are
Yeah.
all have to be deeply political. There's been so many situations where people look at me strange as if that isn't the culture that we have cultivated. I have a whole section where I'm acknowledging the existence of the social justice warrior, the
Yeah.
SJW, and why that form of criticism is pivotal to a moment like the Black Lives Matter movement existing anyway, to use and galvanize the whole emphasis of that Tumblr space, that head frame of like the criticalness of, in this space, in this astral plane, we can define it, and
Yeah.
therefore we can create an ideal society. We can make one where caring is might be a performance in itself, but it creates a culture. The art of criticizing these actions creates a politic that is about placing these actions at the forefront.
Yes.
And so that's why when I say I don't like your fat phobia, I'm very vocal about it. I'm not apologizing for it. It's deeply is problematic and it's weird. I don't know. If you don't like thick niggas, maybe stop being around thickness.
The fuck?
I don't
Like,
know what to tell you. You're probably going to be fat one day too. It's inevitability.
okay, I said I don't think people understand. We're all going to be differently abled at one point in
You're
time in
going
our
to
life.
be. You're not going to be 65 years old in the gym. It's not on the level you are right now. 6 days a
You
week is
were
insane.
insane. I said no. I said, oh, y'all, not for me, not on my spirit. I'm gonna take my
Plus,
little
you
three
don't
mile
lift
walk.
properly, so you're going to have back and joint problems.
I can I tell you, I think about that so often. I said, you're not doing strengthening and conditioning the right way. The fuck, like, please don't piss me off.
You really should emphasize your cardio more.
Do you
And not
know
just a
you actually need?
stairmaster. Get on that bike and pedal.
People want to have nice butts though, so it doesn't matter.
And I do enjoy them. I do enjoy them. Am I part of the problem? I'm saying I am.
Yes, let's be clear. Desire and politics, they can coexist, and sometimes I'm a little problematic. It's fine.
If you throw that at me, I'm going to giggle.
Like,
Yeah.
Teehee,
Well, I
you
would
like
say
me?
actually, I am front in there. We both know I have said expressly I don't find gym bodies attractive.
Yeah.
I don't.
I said, hold on. But it's okay. But we turning our brain off for that moment. It's
We're
fine.
saying right
Does not
now,
matter.
we're lying to ourselves to seem more relatable.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta
Wow.
do a song and dance so people don't get scared by you. So that's a part of being the smart one.
I said, you know what's actually very funny? And I'll come back to it. But what's very funny is I was just explaining to somebody, I was like, you know, the reason that I actually have made even more of a concerted effort to remind people that I am not only about like advocacy and activism and thinking and being in bookstores and sipping my coffee. I said, y'all do know I go outside and have fun. I like to, and that's why
I
people
wear
see
Carter
me
wear too.
like, huh?
I wear Carter wear too.
I'm wearing it right now. So,
Same.
like,
Same.
but it's so funny to like get into that space because it does feel like there is a flattening that begins to happen in terms of like who people are allowed to be within these digital spaces. And so if your politic isn't the purest, or more specifically, if your politic changes through experience, there's almost like this moment of like, well, no, you've always said to be this person, right? And I was just like, no, when you are met with new information, it's actually very healthy to change your opinion on things, right? That's the entire point of learning. That's the entire point of wanting to become a lot more deeply understanding, which is why, and I personally cannot wait to get into the book, okay? But I think it's important because if we're not contextualizing these moments in time and we kind of forget the starting point to where we are at now, you would not understand that when we think around the Harlem Renaissance happened simultaneously as the Great Depression, and people actually depended on white benefactors in order to knock out a lot of these things. Like, that's important to note when we think around the Black arts
Sometimes you might
movement.
have to fuck the white man. You might have to. Sadly.
But this is these are the because these are like the ugly parts and the ugly truths, right? And like tragedy tends to be followed with all of this surrealist art, whatever the case may be, right? And so I think we often see that. And what's even more fascinating is like, think around what was happening during the rise of Black Lives Matter and tangent with the Arab Spring and how we completely looked at digital activism as an opportunity to leverage it as a tool for potential liberation, right? Like, I think those things are, huh?
We made the infrastructure for how you navigate this space. We built the buildings in the cities that this plane occupies,
Yeah.
and we are. I think it's starting to slip, and that's like it's starting to slip because the big But to everything we highlighted earlier is me and you, we can build the infrastructure of how we got from point A to point B. You know, we can say
Yes.
this changed my mind in this way. This attitude is consistent. This is not. And I'm being accountable by being able to illustrate these connections, but also reiterate my connections to my overall group, right?
Ooh,
A lot of
yes.
these people that I'm coming across that are making that argument that they can be complicated human beings while also navigating those spaces are not able to or are unwilling to. And
Yeah.
sometimes it comes down to I want to be the exception to the rule, not the rule exists overall, and I am trying to navigate that in a healthy way. You know,
Yeah.
and it's a struggle to watch happen. I think so many people they get up on a pedestal and they say the wildest things and then act surprised that people are upset with them. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's what the allegations like, oh, you guys are just overly critical. You guys are, purists. You guys are X, Y, and Z. When it's like that is a form of gaslighting now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're just reiterating back, sometimes reiterating back to you your own points.
The-
Um,
you saw it only took Tanahashi to say, "Hey, he actually said this thing."
yeah,
Because the
he
best,
said this.
the read in a he said these are his words. The read in a rap is simply just repeating back to you what you said and being like, "What?" Like,
Was silence not an option?
no, was silence not an option? And never forget that.
He
And I
choked
think
that
it's
up. It's a
just
different it's a
sit.
different quotes we've gotten after the message came out, and he was like, "Well, that was racist." Said that was racist. Like,
Because
what do you want to say to that? Like, how
like,
do you feel about this comment, Tanahashi? It's like that was racism. I don't know what to say. Like,
what else do you want from me?
there's
Like
nothing else.
the
Like,
answer is very
do
plain.
you not know racism when it happens in front of your face? That's a problem. You
Do
should deal with
you?
that.
You don't see that? Hmm.
Something about
Interesting.
after he wrote those comics for Marvel, he came out after Marvel era. His Marvel era came out a little bit different. Notice that?
Baby, there was a shift. There
He
was a
finished the
shift.
first of all, he introduced polyamory to Storm and T'Challa. That's the thing. That's the number one thing he did. Introduce polyamory into that, and like even Marvel couldn't say no to it. And then he just made the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, and he just went, you know what? I'm a new man.
Yeah. Because I think that gets into the deep speculative fiction and the importance of like Afrofuturism and even the exploration of that allows you to imagine the world that you want and you operate as such. Like for me, it goes back to what he did talk around in the message of saying, I saw for my own eyes what was going on, and I cannot deny that truth. My job is simply to write about it. I
One
butchered that
big book
actual
of I was
quote.
wrong. One big book of I was wrong. Oh God, I was wrong. I was really wrong.
Like, but to do that on that kind of scale, and I know they focused on one thing, but I was like, across the way through, what I appreciate about what he is able to do is simply take the most intellectual and complex of situations, but a lot of when you get down to who he is as a person, it is simply around this is a simple right and wrong. Do you value human life or do you not? And that's all he's really just saying is it is our job to tell the truth about human life. And then I think a lot of people miss the thing. But what his argument a lot of the time is, and I know that, anyways, I'm gonna finish this thought. What his argument a lot of the time is, how can you see what's happening and your heart not shift? Because now he forces you to have to reckon with your own ethical code or moral failing. And whose moral failing is that? Is it one on the individual or is it incumbent of this world that we are responding to right now?
But I think that does link back to like the overall question of like what this space is, what does it mean, and like
Mm-hmm.
the emphasis of like this Renaissance is that the thing that's deeply sick in the culture that we're looking at right now in the Renaissance is that we have encouraged the atrophying of our ethics. I
Yeah.
think getting to the bag as a culture and doing anything to get to the bag, but also doing anything to uplift and maintain your status. Because so many people
Yeah.
now, like that's the danger. Also, I highlighted in the OnlyFans chase, right? Joining
Mm-hmm.
OnlyFans is a pit trap because once you are relying on that money of like the extra $1,000 $2,000 a month, if you're in the top 1%, quote unquote, like you will do anything to maintain it. You have to maintain. You can't just not have that money coming anymore.
See,
And
and
so
this.
these content creators are very much the same way. You guys see yourselves as different than these sex workers, but no, it's the same
Mm-hmm.
bag. The
I
moment
said,
this
baby, Patreon and OnlyFans are only different because they're PR. That's it.
mm-hmm. Substack is in that girl too. Substack is in
Okay.
that girl too now.
Yeah, it's a
And
subscription based model, girl. Stop playing.
girl, you are reliant on your benefactors. The Warlock class, level 3.
But I love that because you took my like this was my final question for you, to be honest, in regards to this digital renaissance, and I love that you ushered in the conversation easily. But my last question was like, when how, I wrote it down. How has the attention economy changed how black art is made and received? And so even as you're talking around that, I'm like, from a consumer standpoint, cool, give me it, give me it. I need my instant gratification. But also, these creators are not dependent on us in order to give them this attention. And so now, when you essentially become enslaved to the attention economy, does that then dilute and threaten the value of this black art and this digital renaissance that you are arguing for, right?
It does. I'm like, I think we've all become addicted to the crossover. I think we have
Mm-hmm.
valued the overall appeal of like, oh yeah, I need to do what I need to do to get the sponsorship because being having sponsorships is how I get legitimized as a creator, right? Having this money come in from these companies who see value in me is how I cultivate this. And for me to do that, I need this unblemished, perfect recollection of who I am. I need my reputation to be spotless. I need to be able to walk into that room and say, I have all the black people behind me and no one thinks I'm controversial. I need to control the narrative. I need to control who I'm friends with. I need to control the image. I need to connect the smart person. So if I ever get criticized for my political standings or
Look
my
at this
politics,
cosign.
look at this cosign. Steven follows me. Marquise follows me. We're close friends. Even though that nigga hasn't met you a day in their life, they just DM you every once in a while. They'll go and they get into a debate. They go like, "Can you believe this person said this to me?" And you're like, "Honestly, yeah,
Yeah.
you were
Fuck.
wrong." And that's when you get blocked. But like, wow, Marquise does a lot. He does a little too much. He's a little too uppity, right?
Like I don't, but I think that is so real though, because it's one of those things. I appreciate you naming that too, because it does become like the other day, some friends were just like, "Yo, Keith, have you been able to maintain some like this kind of platform?" I was like, "I'm entering my 10th year of being a content creator, for real, for real." And so even as I'm entering this 10th year, I was just like, "I don't think you understand that I have changed. There are some things that are foundational to who I am. I want human decency at the forefront of my politic, but as I enter these new spaces, there are things that people are going to receive me fundamentally differently." And it was a conversation I was having of like when I went home this past year for Thanksgiving, the conversation, it doesn't matter. The same thing I would have said 10 years ago prior to being in the position that I am now, having this platform, being a little bit more visible, whatever the case may be, it would have been received very differently. But for them, going home, talking to some family, they were like, "Yo, Keith, like you walked in, you got your P code on, and oh, this nigga's a lawyer now." I said, "There ain't no lawyer here. There's never been a lawyer here." But how I said it, or not even how I said it, I'm pretty typical in terms of like how I engage with folks. Especially family, because I said, "Baby, this I can take the bra off, let my hair down. I don't got to worry about nothing here." Cool. But even when I was having a conversation around like, no, I just see this a little differently, it is now, oh, well, you out here and you in these circles and you and it's uppity and blah, blah, blah. I said, foundationally, nothing has changed about me outside of the spaces I have access to now. But I said, y'all forget, I am still the person who, when I enter these spaces, I I have been told multiple times, Marquise, you are a dangerous brand. You are somebody that I don't know if I can work with. And it blows people's mind when they hear me say that. I said, yeah, because as jolly and smiley as I can be, I said, I walk into some rooms with city leadership. I walk into some rooms with educational leadership. I walk into these rooms with folks who are happy to be in the space. But I'm also not safe because I also asked a question that, like, hey, going back to that New Year's, what are y'all going to do that's different? Just because you let me into the space does not mean I'm necessarily going to follow your social contract. But on the flip side of when I go home and people have seen the level of success and all of that for me, it's like navigating like, yeah, but Keith's like, it's a little different now. I said I didn't that statement I said if my little brother would have said it or a friend from home would have said it, y'all would have received that completely differently. But because of how I show up, Marquise might be an uppity nigga now. Marquise is in these rooms now. Marquise, I'll be like, dog. Even when last thing, I am the brokest family in the rich neighborhood. That's the best way to say it. But I don't think people recognize that because they see where I'm going as aspirational. But sometimes there's this illusion of, oh, niggas have already made it. I said, no, babes. Still making it.
And it's going to be even worse because mentorship for our generation was abysmal. Frankly, um, queer, black and queer
Black,
leadership did not
queer.
do well by us at all.
Right.
Oh, it did not do well by us at all. I'm still talking to him. I'm like, why are you talking to us like we're peers? I'm not your peer. I'm like, I said, I know why. I say, because you don't want to fuck us. But,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
you want to sleep with me. So I can't be an underling. If you were to do that, then like you would lose access to me in that way.
Yeah.
But
Lord.
fundamentally, but I want to highlight the fact that like, you have gone through a lot of transformation. And I think you have challenged like the ability to go home and sit there in front of your family and to take that feedback in of like where you are relatively from where you started. I think going home to family, going home in general, puts that into retrospective of who you are. I realized very quickly going back home that I'm not the same Steven I used to be. I think about like how shy I used to be, how like underspoken I was, but also like there's always been like this understanding of my intellectualism. Like I had some high school friends remind me, like, oh yeah, we used to call you the Black Rousseau because you were like Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Like you knew that you were deeply invested in philosophy and like you didn't just learn stuff, you felt the emotions that are impacted by learning things. I remember I had an existential crisis because in a AP history course, I learned something. It was something deeply philosophical about humanism and like the futility of death, also the futility of suicide, that
Yeah.
sent me through a ringer for a week. And I
Yep.
was talking about it perpetually for like a week straight. And then
Duh.
like no one else understood why it threw me off. And like even my teacher was like, "You're dealing with something on a level that no one in this school is prepared to help you with."
Yeah.
And that
Wow.
transformation is a thing. But I'm like the ability to check yourself and to go through these spaces. I'm like it's important overall to people being able to navigate these things and these circumstances. I'm like,
Yeah.
me and you have had to check each other before.
Through a couple times. A
A
couple
couple
times.
times. The infamous talk. Infamous talk. If you weren't there, you missed it. If you were there, yes, we're talking about that. But
Yeah. That
those
is
transformations, you're not the same person you were during those conversations, and you're not even the same
no.
person you were a year ago.
No,
And
not
I
even
think
close.
those transformations happen, but the heart root is always at the center. I've been accused recently of kind of being a sellout before I left Twitter, and it was like, oh, you're defending these things. And I'm like, no, I know things now that you don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally. And it's changing my perspective about this other thing you guys all love because I'm realizing on the other side the grass is actually shittier, you
Yeah, oh,
know.
baby.
And
Baby.
I'm also personally questioning like I don't want to be a part of that. It's not my ethos, it's not my mission. And it used to be a dream of mine, but I'm on my alpha. I can't want it anymore.
Come on, Alphaba.
It was like me listening to that in the moment, like when Wicked, the first part of Wicked came out, and listening and seeing Cynthia go through the processes of that was therapeutic for me. My 30s was a
Yeah.
moment of deep transformation about who I was bringing with me, who I wanted to bring with me, the navigation I want, what I want to do for people coming in after me. Because I'm like, hey, I was neglected. I'm still being neglected, but I don't want anyone else to ever go through that ever again. And call
Yeah.
it the instructor, call it the guide in me, call it the teacher in me, but I'm like, I am protective of the kids at all times. And I want them to feel loved perpetually, but I also want them to grow. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I can't be the Steven hiding behind my mom's legs because I'm afraid of making eye contact with people. I can't be the Steven who is so desperate to escape a sense of loneliness inside of me that I will just say yes to anything. I can't be the Steven that everyone saw on Twitter sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I have to be a different version of myself, but there still needs to be some glue to it. I'm still a little bit messy. I'm still sensual and I'm still playful. I like a good trick. I like to be cunning. And I also have to be the responsible voice in the room because that's not an instinct. I learned that's not an instinct that comes naturally to people. A lot of people need the village voice. A lot of people need the storyteller. That's the purpose that we serve, is to put words into weapons. Um, and that's what I'm navigating right now. And that's what I hope to put forward with Forever for Culture.
That if that was not a beautiful way to be able to end this conversation, I don't know what is. Steven. No, that was a beautiful ha ha. Cool. Y'all, I
Y'all
just made a
muted, but
bow.
oh, I can weave that bitch together.
Every single time. Every single time. I tell everybody, Stephen, I am such a fan of long form thoughts and cohesive thoughts, and sometimes the occasional that gets dropped into them thoughts to bring it back to the full conversation. That is the fullness that I believe that you are. I think that's the fullness of what you are offering to us. This service that you are providing, how you situate us in this new renaissance, the digital black art renaissance, is so, so important. And so, man, I thank you. I appreciate you. I'm in LA next month, so I will see you there.
We're gonna key. It's gonna be a whole key. I
A
can't
whole
wait.
key. Get into it.
I can't wait to show you some things on Thursdays.
Friend. Anyways, thank you. I am such a fan of you. I said, fuck that closeout. I'm a fan of you. I appreciate you. Thank you for keeping it a being with me this entire episode. Honestly and truly, from the personal experiences, from the political conversation and critique that was able to happen here, our own reflection on how we think around criticism, black protectionism, but the importance of there. If I love you, I should be able to critique you. Shout out Jimmy B for that. And really just leaning into this conversation. I hope that folks are able to engage with your work so honestly and thoughtfully, but also in a moment of reflection on how we tend to participate in this renaissance or what this renaissance means to us. For me, I think as you exit, one, what is in one sentence people should get, what you hope people gather from this book, and then two, where can the people find you online?
Sentence. I think people should walk away with this, the sense that what we do every day is history, um, and it has value because you put value into it. And you can find me at BLAQUEWORD. That's Black Word like the group.
Come on. I'm
And
good. I'm good without you. I'm
listen,
good. I'm
I'm
good.
just showing my baggy jeans, my thug appeal. You like me when a man can keep it real.
Get into it. Come on.
As
You better
if,
know.
as if I was ever going to take you back. As if that would ever cross my mind. Be a bird, pass me by, you know?
Come on.
And as
Come
always,
on.
Marquise, it's always all love between us. It's always all love.
Man, I thank you, y'all. Please make sure to follow him. I will make sure to either put him in the podcast notes or the description box on YouTube as well. When this episode's dropped, please make sure to like, subscribe, give a rate and review because that is the way that podcasters can grow. I really encourage so many of y'all to continue to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really want to be able to grow that platform. And so engage in the comments. What is something that stuck out to you? Please, please, please. And I appreciate y'all. Make sure that you follow me at Marquise Davon across all social media. Make sure that you also buy a bag of Leroy's, which is my black owned coffee brand. And every single time you buy a bag of my coffee, you are donating to HBCU Scholarship Fund. And so please put some impact behind that dollar. Outside of that, I appreciate y'all. Peace.